today, Lisa Potts. We come to you from Galveston, Texas. And say, tell them hello, Lisa.
Hi, everybody. This is Lisa Potts. I'm not in Galveston, Texas, but that is
No.
exactly where I'm from. Yes, I love Galveston. I am actually in Maryland. So thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. Everyone, thanks for joining us for Thursday Therapy. I've shared everyone the story as I begin to write my new book, No Back Doors for Me, that I felt like I needed some therapy. I was just talking about the book and how everything in the book is about my life as an African American female in corporate America, some of the sexisms and racisms and isms that I dealt with, and how I want to share with people and African American women that, yes, those things happen and how I dealt with them. And you're not imagining them, they do happen, but I do also want to share some tips on how I got through to them. But I one thing that I learned as I was finishing up my program at Cornell University on diversity and inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, was that I that was a pretty traumatic experience for me. And I did, my last years in corporate, and I really didn't realize it. And I was like, I think I need some therapy. So the team said, "Hey, why don't we do Therapy Thursday?" So here we are, Lisa, and I appreciate you joining me today.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. I'm just, I always tell you this, I know I do. It's just a pleasure to have you as a friend, but I'm very humbled that you asked me to join you on Therapy Thursday.
Well, I've already given, so we're live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook.
Mhm.
So share a little bit about yourself with our audience.
I have been in the business of research. I work as a government contractor and have been, again, in the business of research for over 20 years. Um, Started, way at the bottom. I'm going to give you a little more background on that as we speak. And started in the business of research really as in the administrative staff and just kind of worked my way up. I have done work with a lot of government organizations and have been in the company of a lot of fantastic research scientists. We do scientific research as well as clinical trial research. So it's an amazing career field, and I really, really hope that a lot of women of color really start to look at it as a potential career field. It's wonderful.
That's great. Now you're making me think I need to pull you over to my student conference so we can make sure that we're educating young women on what it is you do and that field, because as
Mhm.
women, we want to continue to expand our reach, So let's hop into so the topic of today, right? So today we're going to talk about the part of the book when it says the title right now is Remember When I Was Colored or When I Was Colored, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I named it that, Lisa, because I realized that when I was in or when we were in elementary school, that although we had some teachers who were people of color, we didn't have other students, right? We maybe had one family, a Mexican family or something attended school with us, but so we would be in our neighborhoods and with our parents who were professionals and working in their field, and we would interact with other cultures, right? There would be Caucasians and Mexicans and Asians, and we would all be there together. But then when we went to school on Monday, they weren't there. And so I can recall beginning to think at one time, where is everyone else? Why are they not here at school with us?
I've actually told that story a million times because I was surrounded on 33rd Street, of course. Our neighbors, in the back of us, they were white. They were like family to us. We grew up in the most fantastic, diverse community. Across the street, same. Next door, she was an elderly, white woman, and but everybody was sweet and nice, and they were like family to us. But then I would wonder, where's everybody when we're on our way to school? And I didn't really think of it until later on in life that we didn't go to school with them, and I know that we had like no concept really of faith-based education, as you know, as far as like going to the Catholic schools and the Lutheran schools. I didn't know anything about that. Of course, we were young, so we were in our little kitty bliss, and so I don't know that everybody in the whole neighborhood paid to go to, you know, a Catholic school or went to a different faith-based school. I know, you know, we even had, you know, people of color in our neighborhood. You know, my friend Mary went to Holy Rosary, you know, so
Yeah.
I was aware of that. But the girl who lived behind me, you know, she didn't wear a uniform to anywhere. I don't know where she went to school. And honestly, I don't recall ever seeing her in the morning when we would be on that walk to Carver or the walk to Goliad or even catching the bus to Wise. So, you know, I've often wondered that myself. So, and I've never had the opportunity to talk to her about it. Our families remained close for some time, even after, you know, we moved away. But she and I never had that conversation, and I was often curious.
Ye- You know, absolutely. And, you know, and it was during a time where, you know, integration should have already taken place, right? But for some reason, it wasn't until years later when
Right.
they tore down Carver and built L.A. Morgan on the property where Carver was, that then they said, oh, now we're going to bus all the other kids here. And then you know, the African American kids that have been here, we're going to now send you guys somewhere else. And,
Right.
you know, and only a tested few who passed the test could stay at the new school
Oh wow.
and be at the school with everyone else, right? It was a new concept school, open concept and different things. And I can remember my brother and my cousin, both very smart, you know, very smart, being at that
Mhm.
school. But then they began to bus the African American kids, you know, to elementary schools, other places. But, you know, it's interesting that we were, you know, we were at George Washington Carver, which a lot of schools in the South and during that time were named after George Washington Carver, you know, historic African American figure. And I can remember, you know, and although that was taking place around us, Lisa, weren't we just having the best time?
Absolutely. Because one thing about Carver is the years that we went, we were there in like the early, yeah, 70s. And and so we were just actually we were just really coming out of, you know, that decade prior where segregation was really starting to take hold. So we were still that's probably one of the reasons why we saw so many children of color at George Washington Carver. And not only that, it was the time when everybody just went to school in their neighborhood, or so we thought.
Right? Because they were we so we thought, but people did not
Exactly.
go to school in their neighborhood.
Exactly. And it really wasn't until I got to, because you know, we were the class that went into Lovenburg before it closed. And when I got to Lovenburg, it was like, what is this? Because then it was the concept of everybody is here.
Yeah.
And
And I
I thought that was great. It was like everybody is here.
yes.
But then being bust of all things to Wise, um, it got real because it was like, oh my God, you know, this is where we pretty much jail. This is where it became the gumbo.
All the cultures came together then at Wise, right?
Yeah, when we
And
got to Wise. Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't go to Lovenburg, so I went to Wise. So like I think I was supposed to probably go to Go Leg at some point, but I just kept going to Carver after we moved. And I would just walk to school and then I would eventually pick up with
Mhm.
Darren Miller. You know, he'd be walking that way and a couple other people. And then we would just walk over, stop at Frank's and get some candy before school. And then
Yeah,
go across
yeah.
and then I would walk over to that area actually to get on the bus to go to Wise. So it didn't come to me; I had to walk to it. But you know, I do remember, like you know, and I said this chapter of the book is you know when I was colored. But I do remember, you know, sometimes I just think with all of the unrest and unjust and all the challenges and things that take place in the world right now, that at that time in our space, at least as kids. And maybe it's just because we grew up in Galveston, Texas, which is a small island. in the Gulf of Mexico, for those of you who may not know what Galveston is. And we had a huge medical center, which is considered one of the best in the world at that time. And so we did have a diverse culture, but I just think that we kind of were sheltered at our school, and our teachers really poured into us. I mean, I can still remember Miss Johnson, who taught me my timetables and then took us to Baskin Robbins when we learned them. I guess, I remember Miss Robinson, who was just mean green, and, Coach Sims, right? We all remember Coach Sims because we all participated in activities around sports, and he guided that. And then our choir teacher, Miss Sterling, right? Miss Steele, yeah, our choir teacher, right? And so we just had our people that poured into us. So although all of the things that was going on around us, I still believe that we got a good foundation, and we were nurtured to be the women who we are today. And I believe that it started there.
I absolutely believe that because, when you look at it, Mr. Moore was like the quintessential father to everybody. And the teachers there, they really poured into us in the village. Like, it took a village, and they were the village. And not only did they talk the talk, but they walked the walk. I mean, I absolutely appreciated the fact that they were that firm hand sometimes, and that they were not always just there to teach. It was a little bit more to it. So yeah, I think we absolutely got a great foundation. That is the perfect concept of it takes a village.
It was a perfect concept of it takes a village, because you didn't get away with anything, right? I would say growing up, and this, if we were walking around Galveston and we were maybe 5 blocks from where we live, someone was going to probably call our parent or either call us on the table and say, does your parent know that you're over here?
Where are you going?
Where are you going? And if your parent doesn't know that you're over here, then you need to get back going over in that other direction, right?
Well, I can tell you, my parents, my mom did not allow a lot of that roaming around. So if anybody saw us out, and I had this teacher at Goliad, Miss Evans, and if anybody saw us out, it was a problem. And remember, we were in our neighborhood surrounded by, educators and professional people. So they knew you weren't supposed to be out. They knew who was who and what you were supposed to be doing. And I absolutely appreciated that about growing up.
Right. Like they said, they know who you belong to.
Right. There you go. They're perfect. There you go.
And well, you guys just joining us. If you're just joining us, this is I am Joyce Johnson, and I'm here with Lisa Potts, a childhood friend of mine, for Therapy Thursday. And today we're talking about the chapter in my book, When I Was Colored, and when we grew up in Galveston, Texas, our elementary school, and how it was only African American students attending that school at that time, but we were really nurtured, and we really got a great foundation, and then we began to move and expand out. And so that expansion, as we were just saying, led to us being bused to other schools, and ultimately ending up at Wise Middle School, where we began to interact with all the different cultures, and all the people of the community went to school at Wise, and so we began to and I think we even thrived there. I know for one myself, I was in student council. That was always my thing.
I thrive, but to be kind of completely honest, I started to be a little more competitive there because the stakes were raised to me. I remember being in the band and wanting that coveted first 3 seats, and I could never get it. Because, we were now, with the creme de la creme, and students where, these were kids who went home and practiced it. And right. We had the bus, we had chores when we get home. I had younger siblings. So it was, I had a routine, so
did I.
But trying to practice clarinet and then just wanting to be in one of those top spots. And even in class, like, I think it forced me to work a little bit harder. I don't know why, but I just wanted to, because it was like, I don't know if I wanted to impress, the other students, but I just wanted to work a little bit harder to show them, oh yeah, look, here I am, look at this.
Yes. Right. And and I was that, older child, firstborn as well, and had to go home to chores and things like that. It was a little bit different, but we had to work harder as we always, so we've always had to, and we still do. Nothing about
Yeah.
that has changed, right? In order to level the playing field for ourselves, and we're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine with it. Been doing it all my life.
Yeah, we're okay with that. So,
Yeah.
what we're not okay with is when we do the work, as we talk about now, not being invited to have a seat at the table, and even if we
Mhm.
do, being seen and not heard, right? Are really embraced.
Right. But initially when I came into the career field and not really being 100% sure of everything that I was doing, yeah, I did have a tendency to cower a little bit. So I didn't speak up in a lot of the meetings. Like I was there and it seemed like everybody was talking. But as I became, and I committed myself to kind of becoming a whole, professional as far as knowing my craft, being at the top of my game. And once I got there, I couldn't be stopped. I mean, I go into spaces where I am the only one in the room, sometimes, or there are one or two, and but I don't cower, because I know my craft. And if they ask me something, I'm going to speak and I'm going to give them, the answer, and it's been times when I've had to dissent from what everybody else is saying. And I have to stand in what I know, in what I
Right.
know and what I believe. And it's worked for me. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm thankful for the journey, because it's been
Absolutely.
rewarding. It's been the most rewarding thing, and I really really hope that you would mentor some young ladies or have me talk to them about coming into this career field. I am encouraged because I
Going to
do
do that.
see more. Oh no, and I do see more now because I can tell you. I was actually at Johns Hopkins at one time, and I
Mhm.
had a young lady who worked in our office, and I kind of like, you need to step this up. We need to, you need to mentor you. Come on in. Let me tell you what you need to do. And at the time, I had moved from what I had initially come into the career field with, and had moved on to an advancement, not necessarily in grants, but in contracts. And I had to kind of like, no, come on. I want you to learn this. Start here and learn everything you need to know so that when they come to you, you become, a subject matter expert in your own field. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to do that. And I'm always happy to mentor. I'm thankful that I've been in a lot of spaces where even if I do feel like the only one, there's always another woman of color around. And you kind of, I've been fortunate enough to have those that can come, we can come together and kind of like work together. And even if I have a problem, we can kind of blow off a little steam. I know
Yeah. That
I'm
helps, that.
that sister connect
Yeah.
sometimes.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's why employee resource groups are so important in corporate,
Mhm.
um, for many reasons. I've always been active in them, but one, to give you that person that looks like you that you can connect with, and possibly as a mentor, maybe a sounding board, someone to coach you on how to navigate that, right?
Right.
I'm big on, how to navigate the corporate pie, performance, image, and exposure. And so it's important to have that and to have someone that looks like you to dream it. I've been the first and only in many places and spaces. You probably have also. And so I'm interested, like you said, in getting the young girls together and telling them more about what you do, and, and putting you up the student platform. I mean, as we're talking here, we're like, okay, we're going to expand on this because we need them, to know. But again, no back doors for me.
Oh, absolutely not.
At least I thought that, right? I thought that, um, as I tell that story about my mom not going to the back, decided not to go to the back door anymore. I felt honored that, to me, that said she didn't want her firstborn child, her daughter, to grow up going to back doors. But in the same sense, I feel, I do feel that in corporate, in a lot of times in spaces, I've been treated as if I was at the back door, and that's the irony of, of just that. Now, if we, but I do believe that the foundation that we received helped us to be able to thrive and to keep going. And I think sometimes now our young people are so disappointed, for lack of better words, right now, because they haven't, they've already been mixed in different cultures and things. And so the fact that they would not receive the seat, would not receive the invite, they're not being embraced, they're not being mentored, they're not being sponsored, I think it's really more shocking for them and more confusing for them maybe than it was for us, because we didn't have it. And as you said, we
Right,
always knew that we had to work harder and go
right,
harder at
right.
it in order to accomplish our goals.
Right, I agree. Um, but it's not so far fetched that they can, that to let their work ethic speak for itself. I mean, go in and do what you have to do. Do your job and do it well. Because that's one of the things that I always tell, especially the younger people that I've had the pleasure of being around when I go into some work environments. Just do your job well. And if you need training, get all of the training. Know your craft well, become that subject matter expert, become that person that they come to for the answers to the difficult questions. But also, I mean, if they feel as though that they just can't, they just don't have a way, anywhere to turn, I mean, go to your supervisor. That's what they're there for. And if you can't do that, I mean, I'm oftentimes, like, I've had problems in the past, and I've oftentimes, remember, they are the first. Follow the protocol, start there. But
Mhm.
if you have to go around, then that's fine. You can do that. But always just, I always say, start with the supervisor. Let them know this is, this is what I need to be trained on. Here are the things that I
Right.
need to know to do this job effectively. And not only that, I always advise people to join your professional organization, because even if you can't get it at work, they can't stop you from going through your professional organization to get, the training and to understand your craft.
Absolutely. And I definitely think that's the key of engagement, which, it's why I'm an advocate of conferences and student conferences and what have you. So, you young ladies out there, as Lisa was saying, you may not get it from your supervisor, but start there. You never know, right? Always give someone the benefit of the doubt, and then also believe them when they show you who they are. And then,
But follow the protocol. I mean, you have to follow the protocol. Just
you
do it
know,
as a courtesy, follow the protocol, and then start
yeah.
exploring for yourself. You
And
know,
then, go for yourself. Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
And I
You know,
can't, I cannot I can't undersell the value of joining your professional organization, whatever your craft is. Find out what your professional organization is, get that, start working on certifications, but also start there, because that'll tell you everything that you need to know about what you do. And you can go in and you can kind of start advocating for yourself as far as your training. And if, like I said, start with your supervisor. And if the supervisor fails to do anything about it, then follow the protocol. Who's next?
who's next?
Who's the next person?
And when you join these other organizations, then you're networking with people, right? You're getting, as I say, you're getting that other exposure that you need to be able to extend on your career. So,
Exactly.
you know, um, like you said, just can't say enough about joining professional. And there's a professional organization for anything. So no matter what job you're in, don't think, oh, well, no one's doing it. There's professional organizations supporting you. And we're on LinkedIn right now. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube.
Right.
Hey, these are resources. I know LinkedIn have a lot of specialized groups. So does Facebook. I'm not as savvy on YouTube, but I'm getting there. And so just go to and the kids tell me you can learn how to do anything on YouTube. So go and search for the organization and get the training that you need to be able to help you move forward in your career. So Lisa, we went, and one other thing that happened too when we went to WISE, then we had Roots. Roots came out, and that kind of really had our peers a little feeling a certain way about themselves and thinking that they can maybe talk to us a certain way and do things different ways. I remember that. And I remember just that being, a challenge in itself. But then bouncing over to, we did Central as all eighth grade, but then we went to Ball High. And I think when we went to Ball High is sort of, I don't, I won't say, I think it leveled the playing field for us because there were so many opportunities and so many directions that we can go and claim for ourselves. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell you this. I have to tell you my typing story, and it could be that it was just Lisa being Lisa.
You know, we both had that story, remember? So go ahead and share it.
Right. So
It's a real
you
thing that happened.
remember, like when before we would start the new year, we would get, these little, what I call the little dream sheets, where you can say where it is that you plan to be or what classes you want to take for the next year. And I recall wanting to, I went to my counselor and I told her, I said, I want to join a job program, and I want to take this bookkeeping class. Those classes were all at Ball High South over by the auditorium. And it was
Yeah.
like bookkeeping and accounting, and there was like some kind of an automation class. And I wanted to take that because I had heard that people were, people were getting these little part-time jobs at banks and things like that. So I was all excited. And
Yes.
I will tell you that when I got my schedule, it was typing. That was the only business type class. I think it was typing in home ec. And I was
Yeah.
upset. I mean, I wasn't
I
upset with
had
the
that
home.
too. I
I
had that
wasn't
too.
upset with the home ec because yeah, that was beneficial. But I was upset about the typing class. And
Mhm.
so I went to that office like just about every day. And don't get me wrong, typing was great. Ms. Brown was a fantastic teacher.
She was. Miss Brown was
Yeah.
awesome.
And I sat next to Taronda Scott, the always happy Taronda. And so, but I was like, no, I was like, I don't want to take typing. And I don't know why I was just so focused on that. But I get to the office after coming there for several days. I get back one day and in walks Mr. Scott. And he knows that I'm coming every day. So he's like, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? And I told him, I said, she put me in typing. And the whole time I'm sitting there waiting for her to finish with her student. Mr. Scott wrote my name down and everything. And he said, come back tomorrow and
Mhm.
I'll check your grades and we'll talk. And I told him that I wanted to be, I wanted to be in a work program and I wanted to be in an office work program.
Yeah.
So when I went back the next day, he said, here's the name of this teacher. Go upstairs and meet this lady. There's a program and your grades qualify you to be in this program. And I went upstairs and I met Miss Owen, and the rest is history because I always say my steps must have been ordered because I ended up in health occupations. I worked in the microbiology lab at UTMB. And even though I started there washing pipettes, washing dishes, and sterilizing, and working that autoclave room, but I was the best at it. I did it. I had everything all, laid out. I was the best at it, and I wasn't in typing. I
Yeah.
mean, and
Well, I
honestly,
stayed in typing.
when I think about the road there and think about the fact that I'm in research now, it helps me in my current career because I actually understand, scientific research a little bit because I was there. I was learning things by senior year. That was junior year. Senior year, I was doing cell count. I was doing serum extractions. I was doing cell feed. So I knew a little bit about what was going on in a research laboratory, which has helped me now because now I understand scientific research.
Yeah. Well, I just want to share with everyone this underlying joke that we have going about typing. So we had a counselor in high school, as I know we got to wrap it up soon, but we had a counselor in high school who she thought that all little Black girls should take typing. And what she communicated to me was she didn't know that I had another plan, was that I wouldn't be able to do anything else in my life other than be a secretary or an admin. So I needed to go type. And because I was, as she considered, well spoken, that that would probably be the best job for me. What she didn't know was that my goal. So when I was in high school, I was in modeling, student council, and journalism consistently. That's every year: modeling, student council, journalism. And so I didn't mind being in typing because I knew it was going to prepare me to be a journalism student, right? And to be a journalist. And so the trick was really on her.
Yeah.
But right. And so, and then I always had my leadership things going through student council and being very active with student counseling and, and advocating for different projects and things. And even with the home ed, right? So they were like, okay, all the Black girls need to go to home ed. And I embraced home ed because I was like, okay, I'm in modeling and I need to look cute. And we don't have money to buy all these clothes. So I'm going to make me some cute outfits, right?
There
And
you
so
go.
I can remember my aunt helped me because my aunt is really amazing at sewing. And I remember she helped me, but I made myself these suits. I was wearing suits even in high school. I don't know if you remember, I would wear suits.
I remember. Yeah.
And so I made myself these suits and I could change my suit jackets out. And so I was, even in high school, people are going to laugh about this because people know how I dress and they kind of know even in high school, I was wearing my blazers with my Levi jeans and pumps.
Yeah.
And if I had on a red shirt, I had red pumps. If I had on a blue shirt, I had blue pumps.
I just remember you would wear those jeans and you would always have like a heeled shoe. I was like, okay.
I always had a heel shoe. So my grandmother, she would take me shopping. Whenever she would take me shopping, she'd buy me 3 outfits, 3 pair of shoes. Everything was in threes. And so, and I get it from my mom too, because my mom's like this today, but my mom buys shoes. My mom's going to have the black shoe, the blue shoe, the red shoe, or the beige shoe. She's going to have like at least 3 pairs of that same shoe. But so although they were doing these things to insult me, they didn't realize that for me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm good. I'm in modeling and I like to wear clothes. So I'm going to learn how to make clothes so that I can be cute. Right. And I can look professional because I can make my own jackets and things now. And yes, I'm going to type. And that typing class helped me land my job over the guys in sports information in college. And the fact that I was in journalism and I went there with my portfolio. And that typing class and getting ahead like that also helped me land my job when I got on with the Houston Rockets because they needed someone that could type so fast and know this and that for this impromptu meeting. So, but the whole thing about Lisa and I and the story about typing was that's what they were telling young African American girls at that time that we needed to do because we couldn't do anything else. But the joke was on her. And
actually, not to interrupt, but the typing actually helped me out too because when I ended up, I'm an Air Force veteran. For those I did not say that, but when I went into the Air Force, we have technical school where you go and train. And guess what I had to take in tech school? Typing. So the joke was on her because I did complete the class.
Right? The joke was on her. She was putting little African American girls in typing to hold us back. She just didn't realize that she helped us move as forward as fast as we possibly could. So, ha ha ha. And I remember my mom going back to the school when I graduated from college in 3 years. And I remember my mom going back to the school. I didn't know this till my mom told me the story later and letting her know, showing her my degree and letting her know, you thought my child was not going to succeed. And I'm letting you know that in spite of you, she has.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's our Therapy Thursday, people, and our stories about when we were colored and we were little brown girls in Galveston, Texas, growing up, and on 32nd and 33rd Street.
That's right. And look at us now. Been around the world.
Yes, and we are, fully developed, strong African American women, and we're mentors and mentees, and we're embracing life and the fields that we're in. But again, that's been Thursday Therapy. Again, Lisa, thank you so much. I've had elementary school Galveston's friend with me, Lisa Potts. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Lisa, you've got to come on to Therapy Thursday. We've got to share this and we got to laugh a little bit. So thank you. I appreciate your support.
Again, I thank you for the invitation. I'm going to tell you, I'm a fan. I am such a fan and I'm so very proud of you. I am. I'm so very proud of you. You're doing great things and I know only more and more are coming your way. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa. I received that. So this has been Thursday Therapy, my new book, No Back Doors for Me. I'm excited about it. I'm wrapping it up. It's going to have audio. We're pre-selling it right now. If you want to go to our website at IamJoyceJohnson.com, it's on there now on the screen. You go to books. We have a bundle where you can pre-order the book, the t-shirt, and the journal, because it's going to have a journal with it as well. And we are expecting to have the audiobook out at the same time. Our launch date is January the 15th, which that's significant dates for me as Dr. Martin Luther King's actual birthday. And it's also Founders Day for my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So no back doors for me. This has been Therapy Thursday with Joyce Johnson. Thank you. And as I say, make it a great day.